Hey everybody, McGarahan Junior here, breaking down for you on this video the missing ingredient to your success. You see, in this road to success, we're taught a lot of different things. And most of the amateur trainers, they teach this principle right here. One, you got to get the dreams, the goals, the aspirations, which is true. Two, you got to get the action plan. You got to get a little how-to going on. How am I going to achieve number one? What are my next steps to take to be on the road to achieving my goal? So that's step two. Step three, even now, is working on the thinking mechanisms. If you were brought up and you have a massive disbelief in yourself, meaning you don't even believe that you can be successful, well, you have to work on that. Maybe your confidence is absolutely shattered and shaken. Well, you got to work on that. You got to develop the thinking so that you have your thoughts in absolute control. And most people stop there. But here is the missing ingredient, the missing link, the missing component that so many people don't look at, don't notice, and as far as trainers go, don't teach when they're showing you how to be successful. You see, you have the dream, you have the game plan, you're working on the way you think and the way you look at yourself and your self-belief, which is fantastic. But step four, which if you can develop this has the opportunity, the ability to override everything else. But if you can combine all four ingredients and put them together in the perfect way, you can be so successful, so fast, it'll scare you. The fourth missing component, that missing ingredient that so many people overlook on the road to success, is simply a high skill level. Now, let me explain real quick, because you may be thinking, Chris, I don't have a high skill level, this video isn't for me. The purpose of this video is to change your thinking, to change your paradigm so that you start focusing on developing that high skill level. Now, if you're saying to yourself, Chris, naturally I'm not skilled in what I want to become. Well, let me break down something for you. My entire life growing up, I was not very talkative. Actually, I was quite shy, and starting a conversation with another person was the most scary component of life that I could ever imagine. I've stepped in boxing rings, I've played basketball in front of guys that ended up going to the NBA, but none of that compared as far as how scared I would be as far as starting a conversation. This is when I was younger. Well, when I turned 18, 19 years old, and I said, you know what, I want to be successful. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start businesses. I want to help people get what they want out of life. I noticed one of the skills I had to get was the ability to start conversations, the ability to communicate with people at a very high level. Well, I'm starting at square one, maybe even below zero. And now I have to get my skill set to 100%. Well, here's what I did. I did have the dream. I had a dream, a vision of what I wanted. Two, I had an action plan. Okay, how am I going to achieve this dream, this goal, this aspiration? Three, I worked on my thinking. My self-confidence was pretty low at the time. I was just entering my 20s. I really had no idea what life was all about. So I had to work on my thinking. But then step four, and make no mistake, I worked on the skill, the ability to communicate. And that's one of the most prevalent things I studied on the road to success. So, when my first opportunity came to communicate, and I studied interpersonal communication, public speaking, I learned things that I didn't even know existed as far as talking to people and communicating. When my first real opportunity came to show my skills in a communicating setting was this. I was put in front of a room when I started my first real business, meaning it had the most upside. I could really build a career out of this. Everything else before was do this for a month, make a couple bucks, move on to something else. But this was really my first big break in the road of success and the path of business. I stepped in front of a room at 21 years old with this skill set that I've been working on for 1.5 to 2 years in front of 80 people that I had to pitch and present my business to. 80 people, and I'd say 90% of those people were strangers. I had no idea who they even were. And now I had to use not my knowledge on the business, not my excitement or my enthusiasm, not even my self-confidence in myself. I had to use my skill set to make sure that was a successful meeting. And it was. And because of that meeting, that launched my career into a whole nother stratosphere. And that put me on the track at a very young age to be very successful in business. Now, let's rewind. Did this start with the dream? Yes. Was it followed by an action plan? Of course. My dad was so on top of making sure I had an action plan. I was following a regimen. I was following a routine. So I had that in place for me. Absolutely. Was I working on my self-confidence and the belief in myself? Of course, almost every day. But I was working extremely hard at developing my skill set. And if you study successful people, you see this is very common among all of them. I like studying people in all different walks of life. Business, music, and even sports. And in sports, let's take maybe if not one of the best soccer/football players in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo. If you hear his story and you listen to not what he's saying, but what his teammates, what his coaches, what his peers, what his agent is even saying, is he would show up before everybody else, and he would leave after everybody else. And he would dedicate his life around making sure that his skill set was a little bit higher. Meaning, he would bring in a personal chef to make sure he made the right foods so that he could run faster on the pitch. He would hire strength and conditioning coaches to make sure that his right leg was strong enough to put that ball through the net with absolutely no questions asked. He was always working on his skill set. Now, he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, extremely famous, never has to work a day again in his life if he doesn't want to, and he's the best at what he does. So, ask yourself, how much time each and every day are you allocating, are you dedicating, and even time that you're sacrificing to go towards your skill level? That's one. Where are you at right now? Step 2, break down what skills do you need to have, that you need to develop, that you need to be extremely highly skilled at in order to get what you want out of life. Now, if you're saying to yourself, Chris, I'm just getting started in success on this road to entrepreneurship, on getting what I want out of life. So Chris, my skill set right now, it isn't extremely high. Where do I start? Or you may be saying, Chris, I'm middle-aged, I've been in corporate America my whole life, but now I'm kind of getting into the entrepreneurial sector and I want to start something on the side. I have a skill set over here, but not necessarily over here. Or maybe you're 60, 70, 80 years old, and this whole new wave of the internet and social media and how people are interacting in this day and age, maybe it doesn't make any sense to you and you have to develop that skill. The question is, can you? Yes. There's very strategic patterns depending on where you are in life that if you follow, your skill set will grow a massive percentile. And this is what I've been training a lot of my clients, a lot of my friends, a lot of my peers that I've been working with, I've been training them on. We have the dream. We have X, Y, and Z. Now, let's get highly skilled, because here's what happens when you have a high skill level. When you have this skill and you go take action, well, when you take that action, you're more likely to get a good result. If you're really good at sales and you go knock on that first door and you're doing door-to-door sales, you go knock on that first door and your skill level is really high, you're very likely to make money at that door. Well, when that happens and you get that result, here's what happens within yourself. You get that result, you feel good about yourself. When you feel good about yourself, you want to take more action. When you take more action, you get more results. When you get more results, people notice you. And when people notice you for getting good results and getting a lot of them, guess what happens? That dream board that's sitting behind you, those dreams that are in your notebook, those goals you have written on paper, they start to become a reality. And if you rewind, when you get to that level, when you rewind, it all started with getting the dream, honing in on what to do, really the how-to steps, working on your inner self, and then maximizing the time you have to work on your skill set. And if you can do this, there is no and, ifs, or buts about it. If you can develop a highly skilled ability at your craft, you will be successful. So what's your next step? Well, depending on where you are in life, kind of depends what the next step is. So here's what I want you to do. Connect with me on social media. Follow me, message me, contact me, and let me know, 1, what you're doing, 2, where you're at, and 3, what the question is. What do I have to do for my skill level? How do I enhance this skill level? Contact me, message me, and we're going to put you on an action plan. Very strategic, very simple, over the next 90 days that will enhance your performance and get you results. All right, so this is going to be exciting. So, with that being said, apply this missing ingredient to the cake of success, and I can promise you, you will achieve your dreams. So, with that being said, my name is McGarahan Junior. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon, everybody.